This is problem number 37 for 2.5 in the pre-calculus book. Again, more on transformations. And it says the function f of x is increasing on the interval -1, 5. So that is asking us about the interval -1, 5, not the point 1, 5. So I'm going to start, before I start looking at the questions, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Making myself a little graph, and it says the function is increasing on the interval -1, 5. Well, I can pick the interval -1, 5 is referring to the x values between -1 and 5. And my function is increasing on that interval. So I'm just going to make a function that does that. It didn't have to be that function. It could have been that function. It could have been that function. I mean, I could have made any function over the interval -1, 5 that was increasing, but I just picked that one because it's a straight line and it's easy to use. Now I picked it and I drew it because when I get into a problem like this, I know for a fact that having a picture is going to help me answer the problems. So the first question says, over what interval is the graph y equals f of x plus 2 increasing? So I know that this is f of x, the red graph that I just drew right here. So I need to graph f of x plus 2. Well, here is my template for how to do transformations. My 2 right here, my f of x plus 2, my 2 looks to me to be an h. So it is going to move my graph horizontally, and since it's x minus h, my h is -2. So every point on my graph, I'm going to move to the left 2. Well, I'm going to take this point right here and move it to the left 2. And I'm going to take this point right here, and I'm going to move it to the left 2. And I'm going to connect those 2 points. And so it's asking me now, over what interval is the graph of f of x plus 2 increasing? Well, it's increasing over the interval -3, +3. The interval, I write in interval notation, -3, 3. That is the interval over which this is increasing. What about f of x minus 5? Well, again, I'd say this is an h. I'd say my h is +5. So that means I'm going to take my graph and I'm going to move it to the right 5. Okay? This point here is going 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And this point here is going 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So my graph is shifted over to the right by 5. And so it is increasing over the interval 5 to 10. I'm going to add one here that's not in the book. What about f of x plus 5? You know what, let's make it a little bit easier to see, and let's make it f of x plus 2. So in this case, my 2 is a k. It is not an h. That means my graph is going to be lifted vertically by 2. So I'm going to go from here, I'm going to go up 2. From here, I'm going to go up 2. There's my new graph. I'm sorry, it's a little bit crooked. But really, my interval hasn't changed at all. My interval is still -1 to 5. So it is still increasing on the interval -1, 5. Now it's asking me, what can I say about the graph y equals -f of x? Now I know f of x is increasing on the interval -1 through 5. I'm going to draw in -f of x. And this negative looks to me like it is in front of the a. The a is 1 in this case, so it's like it was -a. And we know if we have a negative sign outside the function, it means we have to reflect the graph over the x-axis. All of my y values are going to switch from being, are going to be multiplied by -1. So if they're positive, they're going to become negative. If they're negative, they're going to become positive. So my y value on my end point here is 1. I'm going to reflect it over the x-axis. It's going to become -1. My y value of this point over here is 5. I'm going to reflect it over the x-axis, and it's going to become, it's going to stay at 5, but it's going to go, say, my y value is 4, so it's going to go down to -4. So my new graph looks like that. And it's saying, what can I say about this graph? Well, if I know that I can say of f of x, it is increasing on the interval -1 through 5, I can say that this graph is decreasing on the interval -1 through 5. And I'll tell you, if I hadn't drawn a picture like that, I might not have been able to see it that clearly. Okay, let's look at one more here. This is asking about the function y equals -f of x. So this negative sign is inside the function. It's acting like a b, a -1 for b. If it's inside the function, it is affecting my x values. It's not affecting my y values, it's affecting my x values. So, my x value of -1 here becomes a +1 because I multiplied it by a negative sign. And my x value of +5 here becomes a -5. I flipped my graph over the y-axis. So now I can see, well, I want to say something about it. It is decreasing over the interval -5, 1. So my graph is decreasing over the interval -5, 1. That's what they're asking me for.